I've taken the time to study the all 22 coaches film from the Buffalo Bills playoff win over the Ravens, and I'm sharing my top takeaways with you today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Well, folks, welcome in. We're going to break down what the film revealed regarding this Bills playoff win over the Ravens. A lot to get into. We'll do studs and duds. We'll do snap counts. Talk about the defensive keys, some really interesting stuff there. But of course, I want to start with the offensive side of the football and talk about this passing offense, right? That's a big question for a lot of people. Where's Amari Cooper? Where's Keon Coleman? Where's that passing production down the field? Well, the answers are always in the tape, so let's talk about it here. Baltimore ran a decent amount of Tampa 2, cover 2. 17.4% of their snaps, they were in Tampa 2, and they ran it a lot, especially earlier in the game. They were in cover 3 on 30% of snaps. Those are two coverage schemes that are really geared towards taking away throws down the field. Cover 2, 2 high safeties. Cover 3, 3 deep, right? Designed to take away throws down the field. And the Bills' vertical passing offense has really come along lately. And Baltimore made his choice. They said, not going to be us falling victim to your explosive throws down the field. And the Bills' vertical passing offense wasn't very good until recently. But against the Jets and against the Broncos, the last 2 games that Josh Allen actually played in, we're not counting that Patriots game where he took 1 snap, but the last 2 games where the Bills actually tried to play offense with Josh Allen. On deep throws, 20 yards or more down the field, Josh Allen was 6 of 9 for 183 yards with 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a passer rating of 149.3 on deep throws. Baltimore was obviously aware of this. We talked about it during the week. This was a good matchup for the Bills' outside receivers. In fact, I predicted that Coleman and Cooper would combine for 100 receiving yards. And of course, they didn't come close. They had 5 combined receiving yards. But this was a choice that Baltimore made. They didn't want the Bills to get explosive plays down the field. And so you saw Josh Allen play a different style of game. Josh Allen threw the ball 22 times. 8 of those throws were at or behind the line of scrimmage. 18 of the 22 throws were 10 yards or under. So the line of scrimmage to 10 yards. I mean, that's just a lot of very short throws. And I know you probably felt frustrating to watch the game, and it's Lamar Jackson against Josh Allen, and you're wanting Josh Allen to put on a show and have the dazzling highlights and show the world that he's the NFL MVP. The opportunities weren't there. And for as much as you want that, you want to win the game. And I thought this game was emblematic of the maturity that Josh Allen has shown as a quarterback. Because he didn't chase anything. He didn't chase anything. He did the smart right thing with the football. And you saw one team beat itself, the Baltimore Ravens, beat themselves. You saw 3 other teams in the divisional round beat themselves. Josh Allen didn't want to be part of that. He played clean football and embraced the style of game necessary to win it. So you can want more throws down the field. You can want more targets for Cooper and Coleman, but it wouldn't make sense based on the coverage structures that Baltimore presented. Josh Allen played a clean football game, did the smart right thing with the football, and led the Bills to a win. A lot of maturity. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about highlight reel throws from Josh Allen, but that was a very mature quarterbacking effort. So that's where your passing game production was. Had to dink and dunk because that's what they gave him. And it didn't become necessary to be hungry for risk. It was never necessary. I mean, the game starts, both teams score touchdowns on their opening drive. Then Baltimore turns over the ball. Before you can blink, it's 21-10. There wasn't any reason to start really airing it out. You didn't get the looks to do it. Let's talk run game here. And this run game, Spencer freaking Brown in this game was unbelievable. One of the most dominant run blocking performances you're going to watch. He's a play side blocker a ton, but he's blasting open lanes. Multiple blocks hit on so many different plays where, he's blocking down and moving the 3-tech out of the way and allowing Osiris Torrance to take control, and he's getting to the second level and sealing off Roquan Smith or something like that, seemingly on so many plays. I mean, just blasting open holes and then getting down the field and also hitting multiple blocks. I mean, it was a dominant run blocking performance. One thing that I do is, of course, I spend the day after Bills games in the tape, and I break it all down so I can do this episode. And along the way, I put together clips that I send out to people who are part of our subtext or our Substack. And I just kept on putting Spencer Brown plays in there. I just couldn't stop. I probably could have put another 5 or 6 where it's just like, this dude is just blasting open holes. Why did the Bills run the ball well against Baltimore? A defense that's very good at stopping the run. Spencer Brown. He was terrific. His timing was impeccable, creating displacement and literally hitting multiple blocks on a lot of different plays. He was fantastic. Now, shout out to everyone else too. I mean, it's not just about one guy, but he was really the standout. The backs ran hard, good vision, good decisions, all of them, right? Other offensive linemen played well, but Spencer Brown was absolutely the standout. The Bills had a very balanced run scheme approach to this, 16 zone runs, 16 gap runs, 50% success rate on zone runs, 69% success rate on gap runs. And those success rates against Baltimore were well above the season averages for the Ravens. And of course, we've already talked about it. The 147 rushing yards the Bills had against Baltimore, the most given up by the Ravens all year. Thank you, Spencer Brown. I want to talk about the third quarter as well. Now that we talked a little bit about the pass game, a little bit about the run game, the third quarter had an unfortunate start for the Bills on offense. And look, I mean, the Bills had an opportunity to start the second half with the ball. They're up 21-10, and you're thinking, you get a touchdown here, you're up 28-10 in the second half. You're in good shape. And of course, the Bills promptly punt on their first 2 possessions, 4 plays, 19 yards, and 2 punts. I thought there were 2 particular plays, one on each of those drives that I want to highlight here. There was a second down play on the first drive. It's an outbreaking pattern to Dalton Kincaid, and Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid could not connect. And Kincaid's open. And I would love for Kincaid to dig that one out and make the catch, right? I think he should make the catch. I'd also love for Josh Allen to get that throw up and make it a lot easier of a catch. So I'd assign blame to both Kincaid and Allen. But that was a play. It felt like if the Bills had that would have been the first down, a great way to get the drive going. And then, they find themselves in 3rd and 8 and have to punt. So that was a notable play. And look, Kincaid should catch it, but Josh should also get that ball up. And then the next series, a play call that I think a lot of people are bothered by was the 3rd and 5 screen to Dawson Knox, right? It didn't work. First of all, Josh Allen alerted and checked into that play. The reason that play was run is because Josh Allen checked into it. So you can be mad at Joe Brady. Josh Allen called that play. It was a good look to call it. Josh Allen, I thought, got his team into the right play. I think the execution was poor. I think Dawson Knox needed to catch the ball and go outside. Instead, he goes inside. His blocks were to the outside, so I thought that was poor running with the ball by Knox, but also somebody had to cut off Kyle Van Noy, who got right down the line of scrimmage and made the play. So you had a good look, but the execution was poor. And remember, it was alerted into it by Josh Allen. But all in all, this third quarter was frustrating because you're thinking the Bills are going to come out and really extend the lead and run away with this thing, and instead they turtle up, if you will, on offense, and Baltimore gets right back into it. And again, two critical plays that there was execution errors on that really didn't allow the Bills to extend those drives. But really in that third quarter, the Bills tried to compress the game. And you heard Coach Harbaugh come out at halftime and he said, look, we got to stop the run. That's what we got to stop the run. And certainly they came out with that type of mindset. The Bills certainly still tried to run it, and that was frustrating. But at the same time, you look at the success that they had running the ball in the first half, and you kind of understand it. On top of the coverage shells that the Bills were getting, it kind of made sense. And in reality, the matchup challenges were real in this game. I know that the Bills used that as a motivating factor, and I'm glad that they did. But this was a challenging matchup for Buffalo. And they tried to compress the game and get out of there with the win. They did. It got a little bit tighter than we wanted it to. But at least you can understand the thought process of how they got to kind of that script there in the second half, which was a big reversal from what we saw in the first half. All right, we'll talk offensive snap counts and get into the defensive side of the discussion here on the other side of it, folks. Be sure to stick with me. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, comedy, or theater. And one of my favorite memories last year was actually attending a concert. The energy and the excitement were unforgettable. Now, Gametime has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Gametime Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I was looking for tickets to an upcoming event and actually that concert last year, and using the Gametime app with Gametime Picks, I found an amazing deal and could even see the view from my seat before purchasing. The super deal was particularly impressive, offering great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, let's talk offensive snap counts here. The Bills ran 61 snaps of offense. Josh Allen, 100% of the snaps. At running back, James Cook, 52%. Ty Johnson, 34%. Ray Davis, 10%. Reggie Gilliam, 18%. So the Bills continue to kind of have this uptick in Reggie Gilliam usage. I thought all three backs ran the ball well. All three of them. Physical, took good tracks, made good decision. It was good running. At tight end, Dawson Knox, 57%. Dalton Kincaid, 51%. Quentin Morris, 5%. And Alec Anderson, 21%. So the Bills were in that six offensive line set quite a bit. And, of course, Anderson, 21% of snaps. At wide receiver, Khalil Shakir, 67%. Keon Coleman, 66%. Not a huge impact. He did catch the one glance route, targeted down the field. I guess he drew the pass interference call on Tre'Davious White. Mac Hollins, 52%, and had at least 10 snaps of inline tight end to go with that. So factor that into the Mac Hollins workload. Amari Cooper, 34%. Curtis Samuel, 31%. As far as the offensive line, all five starters played 100% of the snaps. All right, let's start talking defense here. And really, this game defensively came down to a number of factors. And I think the Bills played well enough on defense. I think there was things they could have done better. But they certainly played well enough, got their big plays. And really, when they found success, it was when they were able to introduce a little chaos, right? We talked in the week leading up to this game that the Bills had to find ways to disrupt timing of this offense, and they couldn't play the game on their heels. And I think at times they did play the game on their heels, and boy, did that cost them. Well, when they were more attack style, when they worked their 5-man pressures, things happened that were good for the Bills defense. So first of all, let's acknowledge that they did play with bigger people. 40% of the snaps, the Bills had 3 linebackers on the field. So when the Ravens would bring in Patrick Ricard and sometimes even a utility offensive lineman, sometimes 2 utility offensive linemen, the Bills matched that with 3 linebackers, which is good. I think that's a smart thing to do. So 40%, 3 linebackers, that's even higher than usual. Like I think last time against Baltimore, it was like 26, 27%. So even more this time around. And that probably has something to do with your options being Milano, Bernard, and Williams as opposed to Spector, Morrow, and Williams. The Bills also blitzed a lot in this game. 5th highest ever blitz rate under Sean McDermott. 15 of 31 dropbacks. 48% of the Ravens pass plays, the Bills blitzed. That is a lot. And boy, did good things happen when they blitzed. And good things, like the Bills' EPA when blitzing is really, really good. Like they have very good success when blitzing. They're just kind of very choosy about when to do it. And I think that's part of what makes it effective. In this game, like I said, 48% blitz rate. On those blitzes, 9 pressures and a 60% pressure rate when blitzed. That's unbelievable. Now, here's the kicker. When they didn't blitz, the pressure rate was only 25%. Massive difference in those splits there. Look at Lamar Jackson's numbers when he was blitzed versus when he wasn't blitzed. This is crazy. When he was blitzed, Lamar was 6 of 12 for 99 yards and an interception. 6 of 12, 99 yards and an interception when blitzed. When not blitzed, ready for this? 12 of 13, 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. Come on now. Those are crazy splits. And so I think the problem was when the Bills didn't blitz, they had some 3-man rushes, they had some 4-man rushes, but at the end of the day, they just weren't aggressive enough to go get the quarterback. And I get it. It's tough. It's Lamar Jackson. He can make you look silly. You want to contain him the best you can. But the problem was Lamar is too talented, right? Like he's either going to stand back there long enough and someone's going to uncover and he's going to make a throw, or he's going to find an escape lane and go take off and he's going to get a bunch of yards, which he did a ton. When you go after him and you mess with his rhythm or you take away his ability to just be comfortable back there and be an athlete or as a runner or a thrower, then that just makes it very easy for him. You cannot play this game against Baltimore and Lamar Jackson on your heels. You have to be attack-oriented. You have to introduce chaos, get them outside of rhythm, or they're going to kill you, as evidenced by those numbers I just gave you. And so what's interesting is you think about this upper tier of AFC teams, and it's absolutely the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Ravens. That's the top 3 of the AFC. The Bengals hadn't been to the playoffs in 2 years. They're a good team, but, I mean, come on. Houston, like, congrats on winning the South 2 years in a row and getting to the divisional round. But, I mean, you've looked bad in 2 playoff games. You're not in this class. You're not in this conversation. It's the Bills, it's the Chiefs, and the Ravens. But the Bills have played the Chiefs so many more times than the Ravens, right? Like, this is a ton of matchups. And so, like, the familiarity between the Bills and the Chiefs is pretty high. And for the Ravens to be in this conversation, the Bills just haven't really played them as much. They've certainly had some matchups, but not quite as many. What I've learned in kind of studying this and seeing the Bills matching up is you got to come with an aggressive defensive game plan that is designed to introduce chaos to this offense. And I think that's rooted in 5-man pressures and going after them. You have to. You cannot play on your heels against this team. You just cannot. And when the Bills were willing to do that, good things happened. Again, when blitzed, 6 of 12, 99 yards and a pick. When not, 12 of 13, 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. Want to comment on these splash plays real quick on defense. The Bills had 3 monumental splash plays. They needed every bit of them to win this game. The Taylor Rapp interception was first. Second possession of the game for Baltimore. And I thought Lamar went after a good matchup. He had his best receiver in that game, Rashad Bateman, up against Rasul Douglas, and the Bills were asking Rasul to carry Rashad Bateman vertical down the field. And that's just not a good matchup. Douglas doesn't have that type of long speed, and so Bateman's able to get on top of him pretty quickly, has a ton of separation. The Bills are playing man coverage with one safety, Taylor Rapp, over top, and Lamar just not only does he throw a lollipop down the field that is a highly inaccurate pass, he doesn't do anything to move the safety. It's the National Football League. You can't just not move the safety on a slot fade with cover one. And he said as much after the game. He said it. I'm not saying anything that he doesn't know, but you got to move that safety and then work back to it. Terrible throw. Terrible process and execution of the play. Poor fundamentals. Then you have the fumble where the snap's a little bit left. Lamar gains control of it. And then he's one-on-one with Damar Hamlin. That's not a good matchup for Damar Hamlin, right? I've seen Lamar Jackson a million times make that guy look silly. Well, credit to Damar Hamlin. He went low, and he held on, and Lamar Jackson fumbled the ball. A completely unforced error. Completely unforced. Von Miller scoops it and runs it back a pretty good amount of yards. Great job by Damar to take the air out and hang on. And Lamar put it on the ground. Then the Terrell Bernard forced fumble. There wasn't a whole lot of monumental things to learn from watching the All-22 there. Mark Andrews was wide open. He's trying to make a play after the catch. Terrell Bernard punches that thing out and recovers it. The Bills take possession of the ball. That was huge. They were driving to take the lead midway through the fourth quarter and said you give the Bills the ball back and they can extend their lead. That was such a huge play. All right, so there's some defensive notes for you. On the other side of it, defensive snap counts, where I'll give some commentary on a bunch of different players, including Javon Solomon. We'll also do studs and duds and some of the newsy stuff from Sean McDermott's press conference, injury stuff relating to Taylor Rapp, Christian Benford, and Matt Milano. Folks, be sure to stick with me. It's playoff time, and if you're like me, you want to make the most of these final weeks of football action. That's where PrizePicks comes in. If you love football and want a chance to win real money while watching the games, PrizePicks is the place for you. It's the best way to turn your sports opinions into cash with daily fantasy player projections. With PrizePicks, you simply pick more or less on player stats like total passing yards or rushing touchdowns, and for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. You can make your picks in less than 60 seconds. And whether you're looking for a flex play to boost your payout or want to cash out quickly, PrizePicks has got you covered. And with over 10 million members and billions in winnings, it's clear that people are loving this platform. I've been playing for a while now, and I'm having a blast. It's easy to use, and I love how fast the payouts are. Seriously, I've gotten paid out in as little as 15 minutes when my picks hit. Plus, the weekly promos like Taco Tuesday discounts add even more value to my lineups. Here's a special offer for Locked On NFL listeners. Download the app today. Use code Locked On NFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today. Use code Locked On NFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, folks, welcome back. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the shirt. It says, we have JA17 and you don't. Get yourself one of these. You can go to herdmentalityshop.com, herdmentalityshop.com, or there's a link in today's show notes. We have tons of different colors that you can get of the shirt. It's also available in a hoodie. Check it out. Lots of great options. You want to rock this and remind the world of the quarterback that we have and the one that you don't. All right, defensive snap counts. The Bills played 59 snaps of defense at defensive end, and I'm going to have some commentary along the way here. Greg Rousseau, 66%. A.J. Epinesa, 59%. Epinesa was terrific in this game. Very good run defense, very good job staying leveraged, really good with some of his contain opportunities to funnel runs back inside. I thought Epinesa was phenomenal in this game. It was one of his better games in a while. DeJuan Smoot, 49%. Von Miller, 29%. Javon Solomon, 3%. That winds up being like 2 snaps. And both of those snaps came on the last drive of the game for Baltimore, where they're trying to go 88 yards to score, and he was a disaster, a complete disaster on those 2 snaps. The long pass where Lamar Jackson rolls to his right and then throws back across the field to Tylan Wallace, Javon Solomon gets pinned inside. Like, dude, it's for an opportunity to go to the AFC Championship game. You're the freaking front side defensive end to Lamar Jackson. You cannot, on all things you cannot do, you cannot get pinned inside. You cannot. Disaster rep, and then he was in later on. And the Bills, I mean, it's crazy, the rotation. I mean, they played their best rush package, which is Miller, Rousseau, Oliver, and Smoot. They played that for like the first 5 snaps, and then they brought in Solomon again, and they brought in Quentin Jefferson and Epinesa. Those were the 3 rushers on the field when they scored the touchdown. They're playing a 3-man rush with a spy. It's like, and Lamar just stood back there. It's like, okay, eventually someone's going to uncover, and that's exactly what happened. So like the Bills in that drive at the end there, where they gave up the 88-yard touchdown, there were some good moments where they were aggressive and went after it and showed some man coverage. And then there was also some moments where it's a 3-man rush with a spy and cover behind it, and Lamar can just take all the time he wants to figure it out. So they're mixing up their looks, but I mean, it was pretty clear what worked and what didn't. And Javon Solomon was a disaster on those 2 plays. Defensive tackle Ed Oliver, 69%. He was terrific in this game. Very, very good run defense, leveraging gaps, funneling runs back inside, made some tackles. Oliver was awesome. Daquan Jones, 49%. He played strong. Austin Johnson, 32%. Jordan Phillips, 25%. I thought Phillips had some good reps himself. One where he was able to split a double team and then take on a puller and really blew it up. It was a good play. I showed that and the all 22 clips. Again, links in today's show notes to be part of the Substack or the subtext. Either one will get you to these film clips. I did an hour of film breakdown. Had so much fun. Check it out. You can join with link in the show notes today. Quentin Jefferson, 5%. At linebacker, Terrell Bernard, 100%. Thought he was really strong. Now, Terrell Bernard's not a very good take-on player. What I mean is like playing downhill and having to take on contact. But I still think he was strong in coverage and had some really good pursuit. Matt Milano, 86%. He was a big part of this pressure plan. The Bills blitzed him a ton. I think he had 5 pressures in the game. Matt Milano played well, and he had a big pass breakup on the first 2-point conversion that they failed at, and he was able to get a hand on that ball, or else that was going to be a tie ball game. So Milano was huge. Then Dorian Williams, 41%. Did a good job as the third linebacker. Some really good physical downhill moments. At corner, Christian Benford, Rasul Douglas, 98%. Taron Johnson, 61%. Jamarcus Ingram, 5%. Want to shout out Jamarcus Ingram for his special teams effort. The Bills made a choice in this game to kick short on kickoffs and allow them to have some returns. There was at least 2 plays where Jamarcus Ingram was Johnny on the spot with a big-time tackle to allow, make sure that an explosive return didn't happen. At safety, Damar Hamlin, 100%. He was terrific. I know that. I mean, if the one thing that you think about with Damar Hamlin from this game is that he gave up the long play where he's the middle of the field defender and Bateman gets behind him, then whatever. Like, that was obviously a bad play. He made so many other good plays that, like, you're telling on yourself that you just don't like Damar Hamlin if you're sitting here focusing in on that as the major takeaway of the game. Yeah, it's a bad rep. It's certainly a bad rep. But Damar, like, obviously the sack of Lamar Jackson and had another couple huge tackles playing downhill where, like, if he doesn't make the play, Derrick Henry's off to the races. I thought he was really good in this game. Really good. And then early on when the Bills were, like, really selling out to stop the run, he played as a low safety and was terrific. So Damar was excellent in this game. One play. He had one play where he was bad. Cole Bishop, 66%. I thought he came in and was fine. I think that's a good thing to say. Like, if you were fine in this game, that's a good spot to be. I didn't find him, like, on the wrong side of coverage blunders. I thought he was fine. Taylor Rapp, 32%. Cam Lewis, 24%. Strong effort in this game from Cam Lewis. Want to comment on Rasul Douglas, and I'm a little bit tired of this weekly tradition of him and the safety getting cooked on a post route, right? I mean, it's like every week, whatever it is, like, it's Rasul Douglas and some safety. Sometimes it's Rapp, sometimes it's Hamlin. Like, they got to get that figured out. The Bills are in these cover 3 looks a decent amount, and these offenses are kind of finding ways to put that middle of the field defender in some conflict. And now Rasul Douglas knows he has middle of the field help, but that middle of the field defender has got some stuff that they're worried about where they're buzzing up on it, and now all of a sudden there's just a lot of space. Bills got to get that tightened up. And I think if the whole world knows they want to run some cover 3, and there's some issues right now with some of that spacing on the back end, particularly when Rasul Douglas is involved. So that's got to get tightened up. Studs and duds. Here's my studs. Josh Allen's a stud. And I know, look, the statistical performance is not anything to write home about, but the maturity to play that game the way that he did speaks volumes. Spencer Brown, boy. Just watch, like, seriously, rewatch the Bills game and watch 79. Just watch him. Deion Dawkins, phenomenal. Khalil Shakir. I mean, if Khalil Shakir wasn't making plays in the passing game, nobody was. They ran that Tampa 2, and Khalil Shakir was the guy that could really exploit the middle of the field. James Cook, I thought he really ran tough and physical in this game and had some situations where there wasn't a lot of space to work with, and he was either able to be patient and figure it out or was able to use his speed to kind of win horizontally and corner the defense and get some yards. A.J. Epinesa, big-time game from him. Ed Oliver, big-time game. Matt Milano was terrific. Terrell Bernard, game-changing play. DeMar Hamlin was terrific. And how about Tyler Bass making that 51-yard field goal, pure on all 3 extra points? That 51-yard field goal was a big one, and that thing was pure. Tough situation, cold, outdoors, slippery field. The dude was true. Duds, I don't have any duds in particular. There's a lot of one-offs where I could say that was a dud moment, but nothing that was like, hey, you were so bad, you're a dud. Like Mark Andrews, dud. They don't play for the Bills. But again, some one-offs, but not enough where I'm like, yeah, you were a problem for the football team. And that's what I try to be mindful of when I put somebody as a dud. All right, some quick newsy stuff real quick. Christian Benford is in concussion protocol. According to Sean McDermott, it was on the onside kick. He's part of the hands team and is concussed. And so we'll be nervous about that all week. The Bills need him against Kansas City. There's no doubt. And every concussion is different. Obviously, Ray Davis took an ugly hit against the Broncos. He cleared and was able to go and was apparently fine for the game. So you just never know with concussions. We'll pay attention to that throughout the course of the week. Taylor Rapp carted off with a hip injury. Sean McDermott said he's day-to-day, and that's encouraging. I was nervous that he'd probably be lost for the remainder of the playoffs, but he's day-to-day. That means he's got a chance to go on Sunday. And Sean McDermott said emphatically that Micah Hyde will not play, so we can stop talking about that. And Sean's asked like every week about, is Micah Hyde going to play? Is he going to play? And like I think he finally got to the point where he's like, guys, he's not going to play. And so he's there to be an asset to the players. He's not going to play. And then Matt Milano, he didn't play the last couple of snaps, of course, including the 2-point conversion. McDermott definitely danced around that. He didn't come in with any updates on the health of Matt Milano, but he wasn't on the field at the end there. And the reporters kind of probed a little bit, and Sean McDermott danced around the subject. So we'll need to be paying attention to Matt Milano and whatever his status is throughout the course of the week. All right, folks, that's it for today. The All-22 review in the books. Coming up next, Herd Mentality. That'll be the Wednesday podcast, and then it's time to get ready for the Chiefs. Crossover Thursday, my full primer, final thoughts. You know the drill. Don't miss it. We got a big week. We got a lot of conversations to have to get ready for this AFC Championship game, so don't miss it. Make sure that you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.